Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, sir.
Now, before we start, we will have a prayer first. Sign of the cross, everyone.
Name of Father.
Lord God, thank you for this day. Thank you for the lovely day of you that you have just given to us, and thank you for the blessings in good health. And I leave this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Now, before you take a seat, I want you to pick some pieces of trash underneath your chair, please. Pick and align your chairs first. Align your chairs and you can take a seat. For attendance, you cannot take a seat. For attendance, say present if your name is Claude Morales Nisel.
Present.
Christine Don.
Present.
Gundaya.
Present.
Canoy.
Present.
Joyce.
Present.
Divine.
Present.
Now it's good that everybody is present. Clap your hands, class. Now, before we proceed our new discussion, let's have a recap last meeting. Let me ask Mr. Joy, what was our last discussion for
Last
this meeting?
meeting, we discussed about sentence according to context.
Now, what are those sentences according to content, Miss Jara?
Declarative sentences.
Continue, give me the 5.
The first is declarative sentences, second, interrogative sentences, third, exclamatory sentences, and fourth is imperative sentences.
Very good. Now, let's have an activity for today. An activity, if you really understand the definition of these sentences. Okay, for our topic. Read the direction, Miss Nissen.
Classify on what type of sentences according to content are the following.
Very good. Now, let me call for students to classify what type of sentences are the following. So first, you answer the number 1. What type of sentences are? Next one is Miss Nissel. Next, the number 3 answers is Mr. Morales, and number 4 will be Miss Divine. Answer. Answer in
Page 9, interrogative.
yeah. Next, Miss Nissel. Answer the number 2. Number 3, Mr. Morales.
Ang Mr. Pablo, sir. Pagmana ni sir, ikaw i-explain ni.
Okay po.
Miss Divine, number 4. Very good. Now, thank you everyone for answering the question. Now, first, we will have first, let's check your answer. Is this one correct?
No. No.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Very good. I am, since the sentences is declaring something, for example, I am a teacher, you are my student, it is declaring you are declaring something, then it is an example of a declarative sentence, therefore it is wrong. Number two correct?
Yes.
Yes, very good, because the what sentences here is asking a question. From the word question and from the word interrogative, they are similar. Therefore, the number two is correct, interrogative sentences. Number three, is number three correct?
Wrong.
Right, because from the sentences, what do you think, Mister, what do you think is the sentence is trying to imply? Is it commanding something or not? Is it commanding or
Yes.
Yes. Since it is a commanding sentence, then what do you think is the sentences does the number three?
Imperative sentence.
Very good. Therefore, the interrogative sentence is wrong. It should be imperative sentences. Number four. Miss Divine, do you think your answer is correct?
Yes.
Why do you think so? Because it gives your loud your voice, please.
Share explanation or partial short.
Very good. Exclamatory sentence is a sentences that gives you that shows an emotion or is excitement. That's what. Yeah, that's the definition of. Now let's recap again. Declarative sentence is a sentences that expresses a fact or an argument. While the interrogative sentence is a sentences that asks a question. It ends with a question mark and it has a WH questions. It starts with WH questions. While number three is a sentences that gives command or gives a direction to for example, pass the salt, move out the way, clean your room, and answer your modules. Now number four is a sentences that express an emotion or express an excitement, and it also ends with a exclamation mark. Do you understand, class?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I know I understand that you have get the topic for today, but now we will have a new discussion. Are you familiar with our senses?
No, sir.
Senses?
Yes, sir.
Now, what are those five senses? What are those five senses? Miss Nissen.
The five senses are hearing, touch, smell, taste, and taste.
Very good. Now, we will have an activity about those five senses. We will have an activity about those five senses. Let me remove this one first. Now, our activity for today is called Where Am I? I'm going to to show you some picture in here, and I want you to, and I'm going to pick a students to put what kind of, I'm going to ask you some, I want you to classify what senses do we use on the pictures in the following. Now, from what do you see in this picture? These are, what do you see in this picture? What do you see? Bug. What do you think the sense we use to in this picture?
Sense of sight.
Very good. It's the sense of sight. In here, what do you see in this picture? What part of our body will be used in this picture? What part of our body? Ear. What sense of?
Sense of hearing.
Sense of hearing. Very good. In here, what's the man doing? The man is. Now, what do you think the senses will be used in this picture?
Sense of smell.
Very good. Sense of smell. Now, in this picture, we have a ball. What senses do we use in ball?
Touch.
Very good again. In here, we have a ice cream. What senses?
Sense of
Face.
Very good. Now let me ask a question. Is senses important, Miss Divine? Stand up, please.
Yes.
Why do you think senses are important?
Kahit maraming type siya sa everyday, like for example sa sight, ginibot na maka-identify na mauna siya pinali na sense. Kung sa hear, makanong ta, matawon ta, na makabalatan sila ng istorya, sa smell, makabalatan kung sa tao, sa touch, sa taste, makabalatan sa yung
Very good. Senses are very important, especially on learning information, to gain information. Just like what Divine said, it gives us a new learning, or it has us to access for example, the sense of sight. With this, we can gain information through our eyes. Sense of hearing, we can distinguish through our hearing, and through our sense of smell, we can distinguish something through our smell, sense of touch, and sense of taste, and so on. These senses are very important, especially. Did you know that these senses are very important, especially on reading literature books, or poem, or reading stories? Now, do you want to learn more about the sensory image or senses?
Yes.
Yes, because today we're going to discuss about read, Miss Nissen. Read our topic for today,
Expressing appreciation for sensory image.
and our objective for today is objectives. At the end of the lesson, the students are expected to express appreciation for sensory image. Now, for us to have a great insights about the definition of imagery, or since we have discussed the definition of senses, or the 5 senses, we will have an activity for today. I will group you into 3. There's a group 1, group 2, and group 3, and I'm going to. Before that, who likes to draw first? Anyone who likes to draw here, raise your hand. Poetry, who likes to read poetry? Very good, because today we're going to have an activity about these 2 matters. Now, read Miss Nissen to read. Now, additional instruction. Each group is going to read this poem and then visualize it visualize it, and afterwards you know what you have visualized. Now, since you, Miss Lisa, likes to read a poem, I want you to read the poem. Please read.
A winter parcel by Linda Hammond. Today I'm like a parcel wrapped up from top to toe, protected from the ice, winds, the rain, the sleet, and the snow. My head has got a hat on, my neck hides in a scarf, and on my hands some puffed gloves, a tiger and a giraffe. My coat is thick and furry, and thus up very high, and my feet have special boots to keep me warm and dry. So though there's little me that anyone can see, this walking talking parcel is most definitely me.
Very good. As you can see in this poetry class, is that the author is trying, he or she is trying to describe himself on what he or she is wearing. I want you to, since you are now grouped into three, I have here 3 bond papers and 3 pens. I'm going to let you to draw on what you just read in this poem and pass it to me after. I'll give you a 2 minutes to draw what you just read. Okay, thumbs up everyone. I want you to pass your paper, please.
Here you go, sir.
Now, this is all your drawings. This is for the group 2. This is for the group 1. This is the group 2 and this is the group 1. As you can see, the way your drawings are very perfectly fit to the poem. That's why all your answers are correct. Now, that is the definition. That through this activity we will have, and you have now have a insight about the definition of imagery. Imagery class is it helps you to enhance your reading, to make it more interesting to what you just read. You were able to be interested to what you just read because you were able to picture out. You're just not reading the poem, diba? You're not reading the poem. You are trying to picture out on what was being determined by the poetry. That is the definition of imagery. Since we have discusses the sensory or the 5 senses, we have also discusses the definition or have the insights of the imagery. If we combine these 2 words, what do we get? The sensory image. Very good. Now since we have a definition of the 2, what do you think is the definition of the definition of sensory in the image? What do you think is the definition between if we add the 2? Miss Liesel.
Sensory image is the thing that we visualize from our senses.
Very good. Sensory image is very good. That's the definition of sensory image. It is defined as the use of words that appears to one's senses. These are words used to stimulate the reader's or the listener's senses to create a representation. It means, class, that through our 5 senses, we can deeply think about a text, or which allows us to draw a mental image and specific details in the text. Through the sensory image, we are not just reading a text. We were able to imagine something through the text. For example, when the authors try to introduce his character, you have seen novels that states that introduce your characters like women, like this girl has a brown eyes and has a blonde hair. From that perspective, from the perspective as a reader, you were able to stimulate, or you were able to picture out that this girl has a blonde hair and brown eyes. Sabot mo, you were able to to have a deeply think about this, about the text rather than just by reading it. Because through five senses, through the sensory image, you are not just reading the text. You are not just reading it. It appeals to your senses. It affects it affects or improve your literacy skills. Now we have this. Yes, check mo. Okay. Now we have discusses the five senses. Am I right? Okay, what are those five senses again, Miss? What are those five senses?
Sense of smell, sense of sight, touch, taste,
Yes. Very good. Now in imagery class, the sense of sight is now we call the sense of sight is now we call visual imagery. From the word visual, it affects our eyes. It has a connection to our eyes. It refers to the use of words that creates visual representation. From the example below, the colorful butterflies around the garden. From the word, what do you think is the word that appeals to the sense of eyes in the example below? Anyone? You, Miss Nissen?
Colorful.
Very good, because from the word colorful, of course, you cannot taste it, you cannot hear it, you cannot touch it, you can only see colorful. Therefore, the word colorful is the visual imagery. Another type of imagery is the auditory imagery. Read, Miss.
Auditory image, words used to appeal the sense of hearing. Example, the shrieking sound of alarm has awakened everyone.
Okay, for example, with the shrieking sound of the alarm has awakened everyone. What words do you think that appeals to the sense of hearing? Auditory imagery is the sense of hearing. What do you think? The what? Very good. The shrieking sound. The shrieking sound means, what do you mean by shrieking sound? It's a loud noise. Very good. Now in sense of smell, in imagery, it's called olfactory imagery. Words that evoke the sense of smell. From the word sense of smell, so example, the aroma of freshly baked bread has engulfed the kitchen. What words do you think that appeals to the sense of smell? Anyone? Very good. Aroma. Since you cannot taste aroma, nor can you taste the word aroma? See. Touch. So it can only be smell. So it is the olfactory imagery. Another type of imagery or another example of imagery is the tactile imagery. From the word, it is the use of word that appeals the sense of touch. From the example below, it was a bumpy ride because of the roughness of the road. It was a bumpy ride because of the roughness of the road. Now, what words do you think appeals to the sense of touch?
Roughness.
Very good. Roughness. Can anyone give me an example of a words that appeals to the sense of touch? Raise your hand if anyone have idea. Words that appeals to the sense of touch. You, Miss Divine. Sense of touch. Sentence na words that appeals to the sense of touch. Give me a sentence.
Joy's skin is smooth.
Speak it louder.
And Joy's skin is smooth.
What words do you think that appeals to the sense of touch?
The word that appeals to the sense of touch is smooth.
Very good. The word smooth is the sense of touch. Very good that you understand the definition of the tactile imagery. The last one, types of imagery, is the gustatory imagery. Words that have an impact on the sense of taste. Now, in the example here, the sweet and sour taste of the food made me crave more. What words that appeals to the sense of taste?
Sweet and sour.
Very good. Now, let me ask Mr. Morales to give me a sentence that affects the sense of taste. Sentence that affects the sense of
The
taste.
fried chicken is bitter.
Very good. What word do you think that, what word is in your sentence has a gustatory imagery?
Bitter.
Very good. That's great. Now, do you have now the insights about the type of imagery? Do you understand?
Yes.
Now, I have a short story and I want you, same as the activity we had, able to picture out. I'm going to ask you what do you think is I have a short story that will help you to express appreciation of the sensory image through this para ma-appreciate ninyo ang sensory image. Para sure that you can appreciate the sensory image. You will have information about it. It is only a short story. I want you to read the short story, and tell me what do you think is the boy referring to? What do you think the boy had received? What did the boy receive? Miss Humoron.
I put
Wait. Wait and tell me what do you think is the boy received?
I put my hand in the box. I felt something furry. I looked at the box. It is a white color and has a red eyes, ears, 2 large feet, and 2 small hands, and it smells balanced. It is a very cute domestic pet.
What do you think is the pet that was referred in the story? Anyone? For the word domestic, it is a house cat. Yeah, do you have any idea, Mr. Morales?
It's a rabbit.
Complete your sentence. Answer to a complete sentence.
The pet, the furry pet is a rabbit.
Very good. Now, why do you think that the boy had received a rabbit? Because of the story described it. That is how important the sensory image, guys. Through sensory image, you were able to picture out just by reading a text. We can only picture out we can only draw something through a picture, right? But through the sensory image, it is not just draw. We can also draw something. By reading in literature, thanks to the help of sensory image. Now, do you understand, guys, the definition or the importance of sensory image?
Yes.
Now, do you understand? Okay, what are the five types of imagery again? What are the 5 kinds of imagery? And then say complete. Say everyone. The 5 kinds of imagery.
The 5 kinds of imagery are the visual imagery, auditory image, olfactory imagery, tactile imagery, and gustatory imagery.
Very good. Now, what is the use of sensory image in writing or reading a story? What is the use of sensory image in writing or reading a story? Anyone have an idea? Miss Dicel, importance of sensory image in reading a story.
define
Ito, sir.
use of words that appear to one's senses.
Yes, you guys very good. Through sensory image, you can able to read it. You can able to picture out on what you just read in a story. You are not just reading it, but you are able to picture, to visualize, or to create a representation in a story. That's the importance of sensory image. Now, how do you appreciate the use of sensory image? By reading a story and literature books, that is. And as a student, Miss Divine, as a student, how would you use the sensory image, especially how would you use the sensory image as a student? Yeah. Yeah, the answer is so correct.
How would you,
I'll stand up, please.
as a student, use the sensory image?
Yeah.
Use it by, I can use it when I am about to read books or to understand the literatures and my
Very good. That is the importance of the sensory image as a student. You were able to, especially if the teachers ask you to read a story, and after reading story, you will make you answer the question, or it will make you to make a reflection about the story. You will use the sensory image, because through sensory image, you can create a representation. You have a deeply think. You can think deeply about the text through that appeals to your five of senses. Now, I now assume that you have understand the definition of sensory image and its importance. Now we will have an activity, but this time let me call someone to wait. Okay. Read the documents by William Wordsworth and identify the imagery. Identify the imagery, underline the word that shows imagery that is used in this poem. Now, grab a piece, grab a cross, a 1/2 crosswise, and answer the activity we had. I give you 5 minutes I give you, since it is very short, I give you only 1 minute to answer the activity. Go ahead, Jen. Go ahead, listen, check. Okay, rapat mo sila. Okay, take your favorite. Di ba?
20 minutes na ako.
Okay, time's up. Pass your paper. Very good. Now,